You think your money is safe. He thinks that because he is in a bank with digital statements and 6-digit passwords, he is protected. You're living a comfortable illusion. And while you sleep peacefully believing in this fantasy, your wealth is being systematically destroyed by forces you barely understand and certainly do not control. I'm going to tell you something that will make you uncomfortable. Your money isn't really yours, not in the way you think. Those numbers on the bank screen, they are promises. Promises from an institution that operates with just a fraction of the money it owes in cash. Promises denominated in a currency that is deliberately devalued each year. Promises that can evaporate faster than you imagine. And the cruelest part? You've been trained your whole life to believe that leaving money sitting in a savings account is safe and responsible. Congratulations. You are doing exactly what the system wants you to do. Be a silent, obedient victim. Let me explain something fundamental about human psychology. Our brains are survival machines calibrated for immediate threats. A lion leaping towards you? Instant reaction. Inflation stealing 3% of your purchasing power per year? Invisible, imperceptible, ignored. This cognitive asymmetry is your financial destruction. You worry about thieves stealing your wallet on the street. You put locks on the door. You keep your cell phone in your front pocket. But in the meantime, it is losing infinitely more to invisible threats that operate in slow motion. It's like worrying about mosquitoes while a vampire is methodically sucking your blood. And when I was young, I worked with a man who kept all his money in a traditional savings account. He thought he was being prudent, conservative, smart. For 20 years, he watched his wealth grow in nominal numbers. 1,000 became 2,000. 2,000 became 4,000. He felt rich until he tried to buy something. The house that cost 50,000 when he started saving now cost 200,000. The car that cost 10,000 now cost 40,000. His food, his rent, everything had multiplied. But the real purchasing power of his money? He had been massacred. It wasn't stolen by a bandit. It was stolen by the monetary system. And he never understood how it happened because the theft was so gradual, so systematic, so normalized that it seemed natural. Are you doing the same thing? Most people treat property protection as if it were just about physical security. Don't keep money under your mattress. Leave it in the bank where it's safe. But security against what? Against physical theft? Yes. Against destruction of value? Absolutely not. Your money is safe in the bank in the same way that prisoners are safe in prison, protected from some dangers while being subjected to much worse ones. Let's dissect the mechanics of how your money is destroyed. Let's take the blindfold off your eyes. First, inflation. But not the inflation the government tells you. Official indices are manipulated, smoothed, adjusted with methodologies that conveniently show lower numbers than reality. They exclude volatile items like food and energy, exactly the things you need to survive. They use hedonic substitution. If meat becomes expensive and you buy chicken, they say there was no inflation, you just chose differently. It's a macabre joke, and you are the victim of the joke. Real inflation, the one you feel in the supermarket, at the gas station, and rent, is much higher than the official numbers. And every percentage point of inflation is a percentage point of wealth transferred from you to those who control the money printer. Second, taxes. Not just the income tax that is deducted from your salary, but consumption taxes, property taxes, investment taxes, inheritance taxes. You're taxed when you earn, taxed when you spend, taxed when you invest, taxed when you die. It is a system designed to ensure that accumulated wealth is constantly drained away. Third, bank fees. Small monthly bleeds that seem insignificant in isolation. 5 here, 10 there, 20 there. But added up over decades, thousands, tens of thousands. Money sucked to feed an institution that already operates with your fractional reserves, while lending your deposit to others at interest much higher than what they pay you. Fourth, missed opportunity. The invisible cost of not putting your money to work. Every year you leave money in an account that pays less than inflation is a year you've lost permanently. Compound interest works both ways, for and against you, and lost time never comes back. You're a hamster on a wheel inside a cage inside a burning building. And you're congratulating yourself for a run fast on the wheel. Now tell me that traditional savings are safe. Insured against what? Certainly not against inflation. If savings pay 2% a year and real inflation is 5%, you are losing 3% of purchasing power annually. In 10 years, you have lost more than 30%. In 20 years, more than 60%. You're not preserving value. You're watching your wealth evaporate in slow motion. The only thing that traditional savings preserve is the illusion of security. An illusion doesn't pay the bills when you need it. Now you're going to tell me that investing is risky, that it's better not to risk it. This is the most insidious because it contains a half-truth. Yes, specific investments can be risky, but not investing is guaranteed to be destructive. The risk of not investing is not zero, it is 100%. You're absolutely certain that you will lose purchasing power if you leave money idle. People confuse volatility with risk. Volatility is when the value fluctuates up and down. Real risk is permanent loss of capital. A savings account has zero volatility and maximum risk. A diversified portfolio of real assets has volatility, but historically, much lower risk of permanent loss over decades. And you will tell me that you need to be an expert to protect your money. It is not necessary. You need to understand some basic principles and have the discipline to apply them. The financial industry loves to perpetuate this lie because it keeps you dependent on experts who charge obscene fees to do things you could do yourself. Protecting assets does not require genius. It requires basic knowledge, patience, and the ability to control emotions. Anyone of average intelligence can learn this in a few weeks of serious study. And when you think the government is going to protect your money, wake up. Government does not protect your money. Government protects the banking system to prevent total collapse, but that doesn't mean your individual wealth is safe. Deposit insurance covers limited amounts, and in really serious crises, rules are changed arbitrarily. You've seen this happen repeatedly throughout history. Confiscation of gold in 1933 in the USA, savings freezes in several countries, forced currency conversions, deposit haircuts like in Cyprus in 2013. When things get tough, your government guarantees are worth as much as the paper they're written on. Now let's get down to business. I will give you the simplest and most effective answer to protect your assets. And you will be frustrated because it is so obvious that it will seem too simplistic. Here it is. Don't store wealth in cash. Store wealth in real assets. That's all. That's the secret. And before you close this down thinking it's too obvious, let me explain why most people don't do this and why it's deeper than it seems. Money is not wealth. Money is a representation of wealth. It is a token, a symbol, an abstraction. And like all abstractions, it is subject to manipulation. Real wealth is in tangible things that have intrinsic value and utility. A company that produces products that people want has real value. A property where people live or work has real value. Commodities that are used in the production of things have real value. These things cannot be printed. They cannot be devalued by government decree. Its value fluctuates, yes, but it is anchored in real economic reality. When you exchange paper money for real assets, you are essentially buying pieces of the productive economy. And while governments can print money infinitely, they cannot print companies, properties, or natural resources. Let me tell you about something I saw happen multiple times in different countries. Hyperinflation, catastrophic monetary devaluation, Venezuela, Zimbabwe, Argentina, Weimar Germany. In each case, people who had money in the bank saw their wealth evaporate. Millions became nothing literally overnight. But people who had real assets, they survived. His properties continued to be worth something. Their shares in companies continued to represent parts of productive entities. Its precious metals retained value when local currency became decorative paper. I'm not saying you should expect hyperinflation. I'm saying that the same principles that protect in extreme scenarios protect in normal scenarios. If it works in the worst case, it always works. Here's how you implement this in practice in a way so simple a teenager can understand it. Keep only what you need in cash, 3 to 6 months of expenses in an easily accessible checking or savings account. That's your emergency fund. This is your operational liquidity. This is not investment. This is convenience and immediate security. Accept that this money will lose value over time, Dust. It's the cost of having instant liquidity. But every penny beyond that needs work. Put most of it in assets that grow with the economy. The simplest form is stock index funds, not individual stocks. You're not special. You don't know how to pick winners, and statistically, you will lose. Buy the entire market via broad indices. When you do this, you are buying pieces of hundreds or thousands of companies. When the economy grows, your wealth grows. When there's inflation, company prices adjust upwards. Historically, over periods of 20 or 30 years, this type of investment outperforms inflation by a significant margin. Not always, not every year, but in the aggregate, consistently. This requires zero genius, zero market timing, zero complex analysis. Buy regularly, hold for decades, ignore the swings. That's all. Don't put everything into stocks. Have a portion in fixed income securities, less return but more stability. Have exposure to real estate, either directly if you have enough capital, or via real estate funds if you don't. Consider a small allocation to precious metals like gold, not to make money, but as insurance against a collapse of confidence in fiat currencies. The exact proportion depends on your age, risk tolerance, and personal situation. But, as a general rule, young people can have more in stocks because they have time to recover from declines. Older people should have more stable assets because they need to preserve what they have already built. Once a year, look at your portfolio. If stocks have exploded and now represent 80% when you wanted 60, sell some and buy more of the assets that are left behind. This forces you to sell high and buy low automatically, without emotionalism. Invest in funds with very low management fees. Each percentage point of fee is 1 percentage point less of return. Over decades, the difference between a rate of 0.1% and 1% can mean tens of thousands in lost wealth. Use tax-advantaged accounts when available. Hold investments longer to qualify for more favorable tax treatment on capital gains. Don't let taxes dictate your decisions, but don't stupidly ignore them either. This is the simplest way, and it works, provably, historically, mathematically. But here's the problem. Simplicity doesn't mean ease. The strategy is simple. Execution is brutally difficult because you are fighting your own psychology. You will buy assets and then watch the value fall 20-30% in a crisis. Your brain will scream sell, get out, take cover. You will see apocalyptic headlines. You will see neighbors selling in panic. You will feel a visceral urge to do something. And if you give in to that impulse, you destroy everything. You sell at the bottom. You turn temporary loss into permanent loss. You break down the compost. You become a statistic, another idiot who lost money on investments, not because investments don't work, but because he didn't have the stomach for the process. I saw this happen in 2008. People panicked and sold everything when the market fell by 50%, and they were left out when everything recovered and reached new records. They lost years, perhaps decades of return because they were unable to control their fear. The secret is not to not feel afraid. It's feeling afraid and acting rationally anyway. It's understanding that volatility is not real loss. It's remembering that you're not investing for next month. You're investing for the next decades. There's another psychological demon, greed. You will see Bitcoin go up 1,000%. We'll see technology stocks tripling in a year. You will see your brother-in-law making quick money on day trading. And you will feel like you're missing opportunities by staying on boring indices. Resist. Every get-rich-quick strategy has a failure rate of 95% or more. Your brother-in-law who made money day trading, he didn't tell you about the 10 times he lost before. Or he is riding the wave of luck that will inevitably reverse. The simplest way to protect money is boring. It's slow. There are no exciting stories. It doesn't impress people at dinner parties, but it works. And in the end, the only number that matters is how much you have, not how interesting the journey was. The financial industry doesn't want you to know that asset protection is simple, because if you knew, you wouldn't need them. And they couldn't charge obscene fees for doing things that a simple algorithm does better. Active fund managers charge 1 to 2% per year to select stocks, and statistically, 80 to 90% of them lose to passive indices over long periods. After fees, virtually everyone loses. Financial advisors charge percentages on assets under management many do not add any value to. Besides saying, keep shopping, advice you could do yourself for free. I'm not saying everyone is a charlatan. I'm saying you need to understand the incentives. If someone makes money when you buy certain products, be wary of their recommendations. If someone earns more when you make frequent moves, be wary of the advice to rebalance every week. The reality is that for the vast majority of people, the best asset protection does not require any specialist. It requires basic education, perhaps 20-30 hours of serious reading, and then discipline to carry out the plan without interference. I've seen fund managers with PhDs in economics become poor in crashes. I saw people with average knowledge, but iron discipline build modest but solid fortunes. Knowledge helps, but is not the determining factor. Behavior is. Here's something most people completely ignore. The best asset you can have is yourself. Specifically, your skills, your knowledge, your ability to generate income. You can lose money in a crash, you can lose properties in a crisis, but no one can take away what you know. No one can confiscate your skills. And as long as you can generate income, you can rebuild wealth. Invest in education, invest in training, invest in expanding your professional capabilities. This is not motivational romanticism. It is solid financial strategy. A skilled plumber who can charge $100 an hour and is in constant demand is more financially secure than a mid-wage corporate manager whose job could evaporate in the next round of cuts. A programmer who knows languages in high demand can change jobs at any time. A doctor, an accountant, a qualified electrician, these people have security because they have transferable value. Your job could disappear. Your employer could go bankrupt. Your industry can be revolutionized by technology. But if you have valuable skills and the ability to adapt, you can find another way to generate income. This is asset protection in the deepest sense, ensuring that you can always rebuild if necessary. Let's talk about the nightmare scenario. Severe crash. You lose half of your equity and assets. The economy goes into depression. Your job disappears. What do? First, don't panic. Panic generates bad decisions that turn a bad situation into a permanent catastrophe. Second, protect your emergency fund at all costs. Cut all non-essential expenses. Survive on the absolute minimum. Your emergency fund is your lifeline. As long as it exists, you have time to recover. Third, do not sell falling assets unless absolutely necessary for immediate survival. Every panic sale is future wealth permanently destroyed. Fourth, use the crisis as an opportunity. If you still have some income, now is the time to buy more. Assets in liquidation, prices from 15 years ago. Those who buy at the bottom make fortunes in the recovery. Fifth, remember that it has passed before and it will pass again. Every crisis seems permanent while you are in it. In 1929, people thought capitalism was over. In 2008, they thought the global financial system would collapse. And yet, here we are. Civilization is not over, economy is not over, and you will survive if you don't do something stupid out of fear. I experienced some crises. I've seen smart people do stupid things out of panic. I also saw ordinary people keep calm and emerge stronger. The difference was never intelligence, it was always emotional control. I'm going to address something controversial: gold and silver as asset protection. Here's my stance. Precious metals are insurance, not investment. They do not generate income. They do not pay dividends. They do not grow organically. They just exist. Their value is based on social consensus that they are valuable, which is circular, but it works because it has worked for thousands of years. In normal scenarios, precious metals tend to lose to stocks over decades. But in scenarios of severe loss of trust in institutions, war, currency collapse, crisis of trust in governments, precious metals preserve value when everything else falls apart. So my recommendation, 5 to 10% of your assets in physical gold or silver. Not paper that represents gold, but physical metal that you control. Store in a safe place, forget it exists. It's your insurance against financial apocalypse. If you never need to use it, great. You paid a small insurance premium and the house didn't burn down. If you need it, you'll have something tangible and universally recognized as valuable when paper money becomes expensive toilet paper. Let's close with brutal clarity. Your money is being destroyed right now. Every second that passes with money in a savings account paying less than inflation is destruction in real time. It's not hypothetical. It's not theory, though. It's cold math. You have 3 options. Option 1, keep doing what you're doing, leave money in secure accounts, believe in government promises, trust that experts will take care of you, and watch your earning power slowly evaporate until you discover at 60 that you don't have enough to live with dignity. Option 2, try to be too smart. Day trading, exotic cryptocurrencies. High risk, high reward investments, pursue quick returns, and statistically lose everything because you're not as smart as you think you are and the market is much tougher than you think. Option 3, implement the simple, proven strategy. Minimize idle cash. Buy diversified real assets, keep costs low, ignore volatility, hold for decades, and walk away with solid assets built through patient compounding. Which do you choose? And don't give me excuses. I don't have enough money to invest. Nonsense. You have enough money for beer, streaming, dinners out. You choose not to invest because other things seem more important right now. I don't understand finances. Learn. The information is there, free, abundant. Lack of knowledge is not an excuse, it is a choice. It's very risky. Riskier than guaranteed to lose to inflation? Look at your bank statement now. How much do you have in your checking or savings account in addition to your emergency fund? This number represents your negligence. Every monetary unit there is losing value. It is an asset deteriorating in real time. How much of this will you convert into real assets today? Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Because here's the truth no one wants to tell you. Not protecting your money is an active choice. You are not being neutral. You are choosing to allow destruction of value. And that choice has real and inevitable consequences. When you're 70 years old, broke, dependent on a miserable government pension, you won't be able to turn back time. You won't be able to say, I didn't know. Because now you know. I just told you. The information is in front of you. If you don't act, it's not for lack of knowledge. It's because of a lack of courage. It is a preference of present comfort over future security. It's because of cowardice disguised as prudence. And that's okay. It's your life. It's your money. It's your future. You have the right to destroy it if you want. But don't pretend to be a victim when the consequences arrive. Don't blame the government, the system, the economy, luck. You have been warned. You had the solution in front of you. And you chose not to act. I don't feel sorry for people who don't protect their assets once they know how. I feel contempt. Because it's not ignorance at this point. It's moral laziness. It is evasion of responsibility. It's financial childishness. Do you want to be respected? Protect what's yours? Do you want to have dignity in old age? Build security now. Do you want freedom? Stop depending on external systems and build your own. The simplest way to protect your money is convert paper into real assets, diversify appropriately, minimize costs, ignore emotions, and ride the ride for decades. Simple. Not easy, but absolutely doable for anyone with income above the subsistence level. Now the question is, not how do I protect my money? You already know the answer. The question is, do you have the courage to do what needs to be done? Will you look back 20 years from now proud of the choices you made today? Will you look bitterly at wasted opportunities? Time is passing. Every day lost is compound interest working against you instead of for you. Every month of inaction is destruction of value that will never be recovered. Protect your money or lose. The choice has always been yours.